Revolution pay-per-view, which takes place this Saturday, February 29th at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois, as well as breaking down Super Showdown. Yes, if you watch Super Showdown or have been on Twitter, you'll know what I'm talking about. I want to introduce you to my co-host, Craig.
How you doing, guys?
So, to start this off, I want to go with Super Showdown.
Yeah, I got to put a disclaimer right now. I have not yet watched it. I did hear and I did look at the results, and we definitely got to shoot on that because that's just one
It's
of
got
those
some
things that pisses
problems.
you off.
Yeah, it has a couple problems. It's got some issues, and I just think that we have to discuss these issues
Oh,
because
definitely got to dissect that.
if we don't, things are gonna get rusty really quickly. Now, this is our first episode, so we're a little rusty, if you will, at doing this. But bear with us. We're jokesters.
Sports club.
We got a lot of sense of humor in us. We're kind of worried about this, hoping we can get it, down pat. And while I'm doing this, excuse me, I've got to put tags into the YouTube stream. So it's
We're pretty low budget right now.
It's actually really difficult. Oh,
But
no.
the thing about podcasting is, it's not about the production; it's about the content, the things that you're talking about.
That is true. And, this was, you might be wondering, you look at the title, you're like, why the hell is, the title of our YouTube channel, excuse me, is, so Justice Cast Everything. And you look on the screen, and it's Justice Cast Wrestling, and you're, what's going on here? We've had a couple problems with getting this up and going, and, that sucks. Nobody wants that to happen, but it's there. And, yeah, we're just gonna go with this wrestling because Revolution's happening on Saturday and Super Showdown is happening on or Super Showdown happened, excuse me, and it was. I'm a little. My brain's not fully there yet. I kind of wanted to wait a little later for this, but we're doing it now. And again, trying to do this is difficult.
Conditions, and I can understand your brain not being all there, because what happened at Super Showdown, that's fucking, oh my gosh.
Pardon the language. Anywho.
I'm sorry.
We have a lot to talk about here. We're going to run down the Super Showdown card, and we're just going to wing it with this Super Showdown card. And I don't care too much about the card. I care more about the main event, but we're going to run it down anyway. So let's get it going. Starting off Super Showdown on the pre-show, or the kickoff show, depending who you are, the OC defeated the Viking Raiders. Now, the Viking Raiders were undefeated. These are the biggest tag team, I'd say, coming out of NXT since the Revival. And we all know what happened with the Revival. And they got they were tag champs. Then, Murphy and Rollins came along and just completely dismantled that. And they're losing now to the OC like every 2 weeks. And
it's beginning to look like the typical burial of top NXT talent. Now, I know they've been up in the main roster for a long time, but you just got to go back to this happens all the time.
It does.
It's good talent.
It's genuinely upsetting. Because these guys are the people, these are the guys that you want to see succeed when you see them in NXT, one of the tag championships, or I almost said AEW, the NXT championship. Then they come to the main roster and they're just not being used right. That sucks.
No. And I'm actually gonna, as we get up in the card more and we talk about more of the matches, I got a few of the things to say about one of the matches, which I'm not gonna reveal yet. We're gonna wait till we get there. Now, I know I didn't see it. I mean, I obviously knew what happened, but I just have a problem with the way it was booked.
So that happened. It was on the kickoff show. Nobody really cared about it. It was there. The next was the Tahuiki Trophy. Pardon if I'm saying that wrong. It was a gauntlet match. I don't know the exact card or how it's structured out. All I know is that the Undertaker came out, wasn't in the match. I think there was something backstage. I didn't see it. beats AJ Styles. The rumor for weeks has been that AJ Styles and The Undertaker at Mania.
And this
People,
furthermore proves that.
and I even think it's confirmed. I'm not sure. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think
Oh, it'll be a good
AJ's
match.
gonna win. I don't think it's gonna be a good match. I think The Undertaker's a little old, but
Oh no, the Undertaker's old, but it's going to be like a dream match per se.
we're also gonna talk about this a little later. The next match on the card was The Miz and John Morrison against The New Day, Big E and Kofi Kingston. They were the champions for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and Miz and Morrison won. So a lot of people, they might think, hey, what's this leading up to? And I'm thinking the big wrestling thing nowadays is they'll get a tag team, whether it's an old tag team or a new tag team, or best friends or not best friends. Eventually, it leads up to a heel turn and a big rivalry, a big feud. I don't know how long it's
Between
going to take, but I'm thinking John Morrison's going to turn heel, or maybe The Miz will turn heel. But I think The Miz is pretty good as a babyface, so I'd like to see John Morrison turn heel. Your thoughts?
I mean, I like the sound of this because as a fan that was growing up in wrestling, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, that area, John Morrison, The Miz, of course, are a nostalgic tag team for myself. You know, it's one of those things where you grow up watching them when you're a kid, and it's cool to see them come back together and win.
It is, the New Day. I'm just getting kind of bored since Kofi lost the title,
Oh,
and
easily.
so I
The
mean,
New
it really
Day,
sucks.
in my opinion, has run its course.
Yeah, I,
I mean,
I
yeah, they come out throwing the flapjacks or the pancakes or
see.
whatever it
A
is.
lot of people want Big E to turn heel because Big E's got a lot of potential as a single star.
He
I
does.
don't think that would work because I think the New Day sell a lot of merch and they get it's a pretty
Oh,
cheap
yeah.
pop every time they come out. Uh, so I don't think it would happen. But I mean, what happened earlier
It's
in
for the
this?
kids. Like, you go back, I think the New Day's fan base is all like the kids.
Yeah, I've seen
The
some old
kids who
people
watch
though singing
wrestling.
their little theme songs, doing their stuff, whatever.
It's just marketable, and as long as WWE's making profit off it, they're going to keep it a thing. My personal opinion, they run their course.
Agree.
But hey, who am I?
That's something we actually have to touch on a little later in the podcast, but who we are and does our opinion matter? But that's not now, that's later. The next was Angel Garza defeated Humberto Carrillo, or how listen, Angel Garza. He bursted on NXT as this kind of thing. Now he's starting to get this like big. I think Vince really likes him, and I can see why. He's a very charismatic person. He's a great heel. He was
Yeah,
originally a babyface NXT, and now he's just this big heel, and I really like it. Humberto, though, another babyface who just isn't getting anything. He's losing every week, it seems, at
he's
this
too
point.
generic.
I think like a big heel turns on the horizon for him, something to spark him up. And there was kind of a tease when he wrote Andrade off TV because Andrade was suspended for violating the wellness policy. So that it kind of showed a little dark side to him. But there's that, and I mean Angel Garza winning, I think that was the right call. The more that Humberto loses, the better I think it's going to get if he turns heel.
Yeah, a little tease there, definitely, when he wrote Andrade off TV. I think he's got a lot of potential. He just needs something to spark, something to get him going, something in his career that can change the path he's going on. Because, like you said, generic baby faces, there's too many of them. There has been way too many of them in history
That's true.
that just don't take off.
Yeah. It,
I mean, and another thing, how many times have they faced each other already?
that's the thing a lot of people say about Raw is it's just the same stuff. Same even with SmackDown, just WWE in general. And I'd even say that about AEW. It's just there's so much people, but no one's being used. It's just every week it seems to be Andrade and Ray, or Humberto and Ray, or Garza and Carrillo, or Garza and Ray. It's just this big Mexican thing. But apparently it's all going to cultivate in some sort of. I heard a ladder match with like all of them, like Garza, Humberto, Ray,
All
and
the
Andrade
the
for the
Lucha guys.
for the U.S. title, which would be interesting because I love ladder matches, and I think they're a staple in WrestleMania, and they haven't really been since 32 was the last ladder match.
Well, you,
Well,
you look at that potential
big
match.
match.
You got a lot of potential there. You got a lot of charisma, and you throw ladders into the mix. it's going to be a good match.
It's good
There's a lot of
stuff.
high flying stuff going on there.
Well,
It's built for a ladder match.
it is. They're great wrestlers. But the next match, Twitter's favorite wrestler Seth Rollins and Murphy defeated the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. That was for the Raw Tag Champs. Obviously, I mean nothing. I wasn't going to expect two tag titles to change. To be honest, I wasn't going to expect
Yeah.
two titles to change at all. Uh, but I mean Murphy, cool, and Seth Rollins. I mean, say what you want. I think Seth Rollins. I think the whole Monday Night Messiah, offensive or not, I think is really interesting. I think that Seth Rollins is, he's playing a heel, and people might not like Seth Rollins in this heel
Oh,
thing, but
he
it's
is
working.
such a
It's
better
working.
heel than he
It's
is a
working.
babyface. He
As
is
long
not
as
a
they're
very good guy.
as long as they're booing, I mean, it's probably no, it's probably working. Street Profits again. I don't think they should have been in this match to begin with. But they haven't even wrestled really. They're just being these comedy gimmicks, and again, it's another one of those things. I think Vince, he doesn't watch NXT, but he might tune in every once in a while, and he sees something he likes, and he'll call them up right away and do whatever. Same with Angel Garza, who was in NXT for like a month. Angel Dawkins and Montez Ford were the champions, I believe, when they got called up. Same with the Viking Raiders, who were formerly the War Raiders, and then they became the
Yeah.
Viking Experience. But like I said, I don't think they should have been in this match. It's super Saudi. Usually these are super house shows, but this one was far from it. It felt like a real pay-per-view. But like I said, I don't think they should have been in that situation to lose in the first place. But hey, Murphy and Rollins, Monday Night Messiah, great stuff.
Yeah, I like Murphy. He's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah, well, his buddy's no longer there.
No.
Now, here is this is a match that one of these people I am really into when it comes to wrestling. Mansoor defeated Dolph Ziggler. I love Mansoor. He's just so charismatic and just so cool looking. Every time I see him, I want him to win. I hope there is an IC title or a US title shot for him in the future because he is just money, in my opinion. Seen him on the Portland pre-show.
Yeah, the Portland pre-show, you could even tell there was just a certain aura about him that, like, the way he conducts himself is like a superstar, and he's definitely got some potential.
Well, yeah, he does, and I hope he does something good because he's from Riyadh, so even though I'm pretty sure he's from Jeddah and Riyadh, I don't remember exactly because I don't really watch those super shows. Number 7, Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman defeated Ricochet, and I believe it was like 2 minutes or something like that. Actually,
This is
here's the
where
time. It was a minute and 30 seconds.
this is where I have problems. This is where I need to be vocal. I love Ricochet. Ricochet, I think, is one of the top talents in the company. And you're going to have him go out and get squashed by Brock Lesnar. How's he going to rebound from that? How's he going to find himself in any major position for success after that? I don't know.
The thing is, it's a believable defeat, and I think that it doesn't really hurt Ricochet as much. If he went up against someone more his type, I think it would hurt a little more. But I think with Brock Lesnar, I think
Yeah, it's a good point there.
this match was just more to give Brock Lesnar a little bit of hype going into Mania because after his Royal Rumble thing, they want to give him some hype and have him get a win and kind of rebound off that. And so that was what this was for. I don't think it's going to hurt him long term. I think Ricochet does possibly have a championship run in him in maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe even less than that. I don't know. But I just don't think it's going to happen right now, especially in this era of WWE, which is the part-timer era. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little deterred by it. I mean, you knew it was going to happen going into it. I was just a little deterred that it had to be Ricochet being squashed completely. But, the more you think of it, Brock Lesnar, obviously, big guy. Ricochet, little guy. It is a more believable defeat.
And that's what we ultimately have to go with and live with it. But number 8
Now,
on the...
say,
you have more?
let's say that if it were Rey Mysterio, who's the big part-timer, that needs a match to bolster his hype a little bit before going into Mania, and he squashes Ricochet, that's a different story.
Yeah, I don't think they would even think about race squashing
No, they wouldn't
Ricochet.
even
It's
they
just
wouldn't
because
even
Lesnar's
think about
big.
doing that.
If
But
Lesnar was 100 pounds soaking wet, they would definitely not do that. Number 8 is Roman defeating King Corbin in a steel cage match, which lasted 12 minutes and 50 seconds, which is not the longest match on the card. The Tahiki match was. So, but 12:50 was, I believe, the second longest match on the card. I didn't watch it. I was eating when it was on. I didn't really care for it. I don't care for Roman Reigns and King Corbin
I don't
anymore.
care for Baron Corbin, to be honest.
A lot of people think
I
he's a
don't
great
think
heel. I disagree. I don't think he's a good heel. I mean, he's a good heel. I mean, I guess he's doing what he should be doing, making me not like him, but I find him boring, and that's just not fun to me.
I saw a YouTube comment one time on somebody trashing AEW for doing something goofy. I think it was Orange Cassidy, his whole little goofy persona. And somebody says it's called having fun. If you want no fun in your matches, go watch something to do with Baron Corbin.
That is true. I mean, his matches aren't fun.
He's just plain as a character, as a heel. Like I can't tell if I don't like him because he's a heel or I don't like him because it's bland.
That's true.
It's just one of those
It's
things.
you just don't know. This one, though, however, this next one, which is, I believe, I believe was it? Yeah, it was Crown Jewel. It was Natalia and Lacey Evans. First time in Super Saudi women wrestling. Cool beans. Big old water bottle thrown at them. So be it. Your government thinks women are bad. That's fine.
I
I
mean, it's
mean,
not fine, but
it's not, it's not fine, but it's fine for them. They can live their lives. This match went 11 minutes and 30 seconds, becoming the third long. Oh no, sorry, I missed a match. It was the John Morrison match. This was the fifth most, or fourth most, excuse me. The fourth longest match on the card at 11 minutes 30 seconds. Bayley defeating Naomi for the Women's Championship. Obviously, the women have to wear shirts. I don't know why. I guess nobody in Saudi Arabia likes boobs, but that's fine. Again, for them, not for me. More for me. Again,
yeah.
I hate it. I hate it every single time they come out and they're wrestling in these large 3XL shirts that I should be wearing. They just look like chubby kids at a pool. It sucks. What are you doing?
It's pretty brutal. I mean, definitely you look at, whether you like it or not, women being attractive and being portrayed in, those little outfits showing some cleavage or whatever, it's part of wrestling. It sells.
It does because you got horny people, but nobody in Saudi Arabia is horny.
Exactly. I mean, you can't knock women's wrestlers. Like, there are some good women's wrestlers out there, but
Yeah,
sex sells. And that's just the bottom line.
yeah. There's a reason men wear no shirts, and the reason big men wear shirts. So,
Exactly. Like, it goes both ways. Like, I'm not trying to single out women wrestlers here for like wearing the outfits that show cleavage or whatever like that. Like you see with men too.
well,
Like
yeah,
you
there's
see, I don't know. I'm gonna go back to Ricochet. I'm not trying to sound like I'm, you know, gay for Ricochet, but you see him. He's got the abs. And a lot of wrestlers. But you see the Big Show. He wears the big singlet that covers up his gut.
Kevin Owens. I think is the best example. He wears like an
Oh
actual
yeah,
shirt and a singlet, so it's really funny. But if I was a wrestler, hell, I'd do that too because I think that actually looks pretty cool.
it does look cool. He definitely,
Just kind of looks like a badass, just some raw guy who just wants to go out and beat you up. So that's awesome.
which is how big men are supposed to be in wrestling,
But
unless
now
you're Otis.
he's just got fly. But now we are into the final match on the card. A match when I first heard, I was excited because I was like, "Cool, this would be a great way to elevate the Fiend. This would give him even more superstar status. He's like pretty much undefeated. This the Hell in a Cell thing. I just think just forget about that. That never happened. This match was a dumpster fire. It lasted
This
3 minutes, 3 whole minutes, and it was dog shit. Goldberg defeats the Fiend Bray Wyatt in 3 minutes with 4 spears in one very, very sloppy jackhammer. I am talking sloppy. He could barely lift him. He can't lift anybody over 200 pounds. He couldn't
And
lift
it's just
the Undertaker
disgusting.
a year ago on the last Super Showdown, and he can't lift the Fiend this year. He comes back at SummerSlam, rebounds, hip DIA, Dolph Ziggler is squashed. Cool beans, awesome. But to win the Universal Championship again in pretty much the exact same fashion that he did in 2017 by defeating Kevin Owens, I couldn't believe it. Why? I'll tell you
Horrible, horrible
why.
judgment.
I'll tell you why this happened. This happened because Vince McMahon likes Roman Reigns. It's no secret.
Right.
The,
He doesn't like The Fiend. I'll stand by that. He does not. Vince McMahon does not like The Fiend. He almost screwed it up at Hell in a Cell. For good. He almost screwed up for good. Puts him up against Daniel Bryan. Okay? People love Daniel Bryan. People loved The Fiend more before he got matched up with Daniel
that
Bryan.
might have been his goal, was to give the Fiend, get people off of him. And I see on Twitter, I have a bunch of tweets I've screenshotted because I want to read them out. I want to discuss them in a minute. But the reason this happened, because a couple months ago, I think it was a month or two ago, WrestleMania's cards are being leaked. It might even been a couple weeks ago, actually, at this point, where the whole idea was the Fiend and Roman Reigns. I said this during the Royal Rumble to you. It didn't happen, but it's like we're doing an Elimination Chamber preview, kind of like how we're going to be doing this Revolution in a minute. What's the point when we all know Roman Reigns is walking out of the Elimination Chamber the winner, and he's going to be facing Goldberg for the Universal Championship? Roman was always going to take that championship away from the Fiend, or take the Universal Championship. Vince saw that people probably weren't going to be fans. They were booing Roman at the Royal Rumble. He knew this wasn't going to work. He decided that we're going to go to Super Saudi. The Super Saudis, they're not the kind of people that go on Twitter. I do see them on Twitter sometimes talking about how great their country is, which is a load of rubbish. But they don't care. They're not going to be the ones to boo that much. I think there was a couple people who just there was a guy in the crowd who kind of threw his hand up and sat back as he was like, that's bullshit. And we know it. He wants Roman to be cheered, and his best thing to do was to get people pissed off by Goldberg beating the Fiend, because people are like, oh, screw Goldberg. Roman wins. Oh, Roman gets rid of Goldberg. I mean, cool beans.
Roman showers Goldberg in dog food at WrestleMania. Give me a break. I would say that whole dog food thing was disgusting.
Yeah, that was questionable.
And the fact that you see it every week.
You see something every time.
Every
you see
week for months.
I mean, the curb stomp, in my opinion, if we're talking wrestling maneuvers, is probably one of the most believable wrestling maneuvers in the world. You're taking someone's head and you're stomping it into the ground. The spear, God love Edge, the spear is a horrible finishing move. You just run at someone. There's no real impact to it.
Tackle.
You could say it knocks the wind out of them, but I highly doubt it. The jackhammer, equally as horrible, in my opinion. And he beats him with the sloppiest looking jackhammer in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
The Fiend should have squashed Goldberg in 3 minutes, rather than it being switched around. It would have given the Fiend so much going into Mania, and it would have been so much better. I'd much rather see Roman beat the Fiend than Goldberg, who is 53 years old?
He can't. Okay, Goldberg was great in his prime, but he just can't wrestle the same anymore. I mean, it's bound to happen. People get old.
He almost killed the Undertaker.
Not his fault.
He almost killed the Undertaker. You could say that's not his fault, because you could say the Undertaker's old, so he couldn't help. He kind of sandbagged him a little bit, but I doubt that. I wouldn't even be surprised if Bray Wyatt sandbagged Goldberg tonight. Or today, I should say, because he should have, because he was losing the championship to a 53-year-old man who gets winded walking to the ring, who gets winded by moving. I couldn't believe it. I was in disbelief. I went on Twitter right away. I'm trying to search up different wrestling writers to get some insight to see what they are thinking, and I was mistyping. I was in a rage. But here we go to Twitter, because on Twitter is where every wrestling fan lives. This guy, I'm not going to say who, says, I mean, when it first started, sure, his segments were cool and his entrance is neat, but I have personally lost a bit of interest. I can't say I've ever been excited for one of his matches. Be really honest. When The Fiend is scheduled to wrestle, does it excite you? He's talking about The Fiend, and he's talking about how he thinks The Fiend is pretty much boring at this point. But here's my counter to this idiot.
Yes, I get excited when the Fiend is supposed to wrestle.
Exactly. The Fiend isn't someone who's been shoved down our throats. We look at it. SummerSlam, he wrestled. He didn't wrestle. Was there another pay per view? I think there was another pay per view after SummerSlam. I could be wrong with that one. I'll actually search it up right now. He wrestled at Survivor Series. Then at TLC, they took a break from The Fiend. We're going to give him Bray Wyatt. Just regular Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, didn't
So,
go over so well.
no. Royal Rumble. Okay. And now here, he hasn't had that many matches. How can that bore you? And yeah, you could say, well, segments are boring, but I don't think so. Bray Wyatt's the kind of guy. I've said it before. Baseball is a smart person sport. The Fiend is a smart wrestling fans wrestler, because you need to be smart to understand what he's
The
saying.
psychology
He puts a
behind the
lot
character.
of teases and a lot of these things in his promos that you really just have to just get. I mean, I just think that fan is someone who is stuck on nostalgia and thinks that Goldberg deserves to win that match. I mean, I just,
I'll say it this way: the Fiend is a bit of edge, a bit of grit to a watered down product, for the most part. He gives that little bit of fire, something really interesting, something different.
so to confirm, there was a pay per view after SummerSlam's Clash of Champions. Fiend was not on that card. Hell in a Cell, he was in that card. Crown Jewel, I forgot the Crown Jewel. He was on that, but that's when he won the title. Survivor Series, he was on that. Starrcade, he was not, which isn't technically a pay per view. And Tables on Chairs on that. And then obviously the Royal Rumble, he was on that. As far as I see, I mean, I don't know how you can get bored of the Fiend. You must just be a really boring person. And that's the problem with wrestling fans. They just get bored of everything way too quickly. And it's honestly a little annoying.
Very annoying.
By the way, the response to that tweet was, I for sure pay attention to it. If I hear Goldberg, I only watch to see how bad he looks. Some other
Well,
guys.
here's the thing:
Oh,
is
okay.
that casuals and people that don't watch wrestling every week and all the time that are really, really into it see Goldberg and think, "Oh, this is gonna be good. Goldberg's coming back." Not to
It's
mention the match is it's under 5 minutes every time.
yeah, you know, the Fiend, the Goldberg's here to get casual viewers like my dad, who was super excited when he won, invested. That's only what it is. I don't usually watch SmackDown, but I guess tomorrow night I have to watch SmackDown because I have to see how bloody horrible this is. Oh,
That could be a whole other subject, is how bad Friday Night SmackDown has been.
I don't
A
even
whole
watch
other
SmackDown. I
subject for a
can't
new
even watch it.
episode.
Can't even watch it. Here's another tweet coming from another guy named Derek. That's all you're getting. Because he's actually smart here. He said it makes more sense for WrestleMania to get Roman cheered. Belt shouldn't have been put on the Fiend this early anyway. Shouldn't have been, because I don't know why they just booked themselves to a corner, because fans are super high on him. Oh, I just hate the Fiend at this point, because he just seems to make wrestling worse, even though he should be making it better. Because every time he's there, there's some controversy behind it, and it sucks. This is the second Fiend match where there's backlash. Not the pay per view, because the pay per views of Backlash are actually pretty good. But this is horrible.
Yeah.
Another tweet. This is from Adam Pacitti. If you don't know who that is, he's one of the main guys on Cultaholic. He says, I haven't been as invested in a character as much as The Fiend in about 5 years now. Such
Which
a
is a valid
waste.
point. Very valid point.
That's what I went on immediately too on YouTube to look at the reactions, because a lot of these people stream the reactions, which we might do with Revolution. We just won't have a camera; we'll just have the mic, and you can hear the reactions.
Yeah.
This was they were. There's a lot of people that were incensed, and very angry and upset, and I can agree because this was a dumb decision by creative. And I don't know if it was Bruce Pritchard. He seems like a nice guy, but he could have frigged off. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
at this point, I'm lost.
I'll stand by it, man. You know, Vince and creative doesn't like the Fiend because Bray Wyatt came up with it himself.
That is a very good point, because if you Zack Ryder got himself over 10 years ago at this point with his the Z True Island story, or what the hell it was called, on YouTube, and then they kind of gave him a U.S. title, and then they lost it, and then he got his heart broken by John Cena and Eve Torres, and then Kane threw him off stage, and life is horrible. But I mean, for them, I one more tweet. Just save me $10 a month. If they don't care about the fans, why should I spend my money? And it was a post. It was a picture of someone canceling their network. Looks real, and it's there. He canceled the subscription over this, and a lot of people are saying cancel. But there's a lot of people, if you go on Twitter, that are like sitting there and they support this decision. A lot of old people, I find. I found a lot of boomers
Yeah. Yeah.
saying that they really like Goldberg, and I think that if you like Goldberg and you're like
Well,
3,000, that's too bad.
no doubt. I mean, come on. Like Goldberg is like an older person's wrestler because he's, back in the day, Goldberg undefeated, WCW, he's a good wrestler, beat the Fiend. Man, give me a break.
Doesn't fly now, Jack.
If you're at least gonna give Goldberg the title, at least make it a good match. Let the Fiend put up a fight.
Didn't have much of a
But then
fight.
again, you can't do much with the Fiend after that. After he puts up a fight, gets squashed by Goldberg. The Fiend is done after that. Like you can't really rebound from that. If that were to happen. That didn't happen. He got completely squashed. And where do you go from here?
WrestleMania, Tampa Bay, April 5th. 6 hours, and then
Goldberg.
you get to see Goldberg or Roman Reigns win the title.
Yeah.
Enjoy it,
Don't
everyone.
know what's next for the Fiend. I guess it's something, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow and find out.
Or we won't find out. Who knows? That's Super Showdown. That's the Backlash. We'll wait again for tomorrow's episode of SmackDown to see what everyone thinks and what the fallout's going to be like. It's time to move on to something happening this Saturday from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois. AEW Revolution.
AEW
I absolutely hate
Revolution.
this pay-per-view name. That's just me. I'm kind of sick. I kind of want some original names, something that I've never heard of before, but I've heard Revolution at least 700 times in the past 5 years in wrestling.
Thanks, Cody Rhodes.
Thank you, Cody. Appreciate it, buddy.
Anyway, I'm just going to go before we even get into this pay-per-view. That Iron Man match between Kenny Omega and Pac, amazing. And I've seen a lot of people that are saying the same thing.
I don't watch AEW television as much anymore, so I didn't see it. But that's no here anywhere. But speaking of
Understood.
AEW TV, Brian Alvarez tweeted 2 hours ago. I'm just seeing it now as I was on Twitter. The ratings in the U.S. for AEW and NXT this week. AEW 865,000. NXT was 7. Oh my god, my brain farts. 700,000.
700,000 something.
700,007. Yes, I am literally having a brain fart. I can't even think. Just 700,000. We'll round it down to 700,000.
That's
720,000. We'll
actually
go there.
so both shows had less viewers, I think, because I think AEW normally sits around 900,000 and NXT's up in the eights typically.
I mean, I'm trying to find last week's viewers, but he tweets way too much. So I also don't know the demographics, but I'm assuming NXT won or AEW won that. Excuse me. Yeah, I can't. It's gonna take like 800 years to find that. Oh, here it is. Last week, AEW scored 893, and NXT scored 794. So NXT's down by a lot. AEW isn't down by that much. Actually, I'm pretty sure they're not down by that much. I could be wrong. Yeah, they're not down by that much. They're down by like 30,000 viewers. So, I mean, I don't care too much for the AEW versus NXT. I might joke around with you a little bit about it, but I don't really care. I just think if you want to watch what you want to watch, watch what you want to watch. Don't talk about it. There's a lot of pages
Yeah.
on Instagram that devote to this stuff. I just don't give a rat's ass. Just watch what you want to watch.
I
Talk about what
mean,
you want to talk about. Who cares?
I like NXT. This could be a whole episode of the podcast in itself, NXT versus AEW. But I'm just gonna touch a little bit on it. Is like I like NXT. The in ring for NXT and even the storylines are bad, but the in ring for NXT is awesome. I love it. Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa was an incredible match at Takeover Portland. But I like the TV 14 product that AEW Dynamite gives. Even though, I don't get to hear swearing because I'm in Canada. Thanks, TSN. Dicks.
Shout out to TSN for
For
getting
ruining my Wednesday night experience.
I mean, yeah, that's expected with Canadian sports. It's not like a
I mean, I get it. You're a sports network. Like, I guess people of all ages will watch, a sports network. But your TV 14, like, the label's right there. If people's parents don't want their kids to watch it, there's the rating, Hey, if you're under 14, probably shouldn't be watching this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was someone who grew up playing games like Grand Theft Auto, so I didn't
Yeah.
turn out bad, and that game was horrible. With comes to swearing and strippings and guns and all that, and I played guns when I was a kid, so I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think kids nowadays are probably just stupid.
That can be an episode of Just Cast Everything. It's because, there's a lot of shit you can say about that.
Well, we're gonna get into the All Elite
Yes.
Wrestling preview. We'll have a review for the show probably
Next week.
next week at some point. Definitely before AEW. Here we go. We're gonna go up the list because down the list is main event first. So we're gonna go up because I feel like it just makes more sense. This is not how they're gonna go in order. So don't be like, oh, I'm gonna tune in 2 hours to watch Nyla Rose and Chris Statlander, and then tune in 2 hours later and you're at the main event or whatever, and you're pissed. Oh, that happened 2 hours ago. What the frick? So don't. Okay. SoCal Uncensored versus the Dark Order. Just a tag team match. I mean,
That's on the pre-show, I'm pretty
oh, it
sure.
is? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta count the pre-show anyway. I'm glad it's on the
Yeah.
pre-show because if it's on the main show, I probably would never watch it. Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy's a comedy wrestler. Why would he be facing an actual wrestler who's like prides in good in-ring work? I don't know. I don't watch AEW, so you can tell me about the build for that if you want. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it was a very small build. Basically, at the end of the Iron Man match, Pac pissed off losing. He's talking to Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone's like, "What's next for you? You went out and lost this match." He's like, "Oh, what are you trying to get at here, Tony?" And then Orange Cassidy comes out, basically, tries to be a dick. Does the whole hands in his pocket thing, and Pac just feeds him a couple. Next thing you know, hey, this is Odd Revolution.
Okay, so no build really.
Kind of a shitty build, if you ask me.
Okay. Next one on here is number 6, Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander. Again, man, I'm telling you, AEW, stop, 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 stop. I don't want a wrestler who is an alien who is from another galaxy.
That pokes
Stop.
people in the nose.
I don't even, just stop. This isn't the 80s. This isn't the gobbledygooker. Stop. I think Chris Statlander's a great wrestler. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to have your already, in my opinion, dog crap women's division with wrestlers who are greener than my ass shits, why is this here? Stop. Just make her normal. Thank you. Nyla Rose. Anyone, and I mean anyone, who sits there on their little shitty Twitter devices, on their little Android Twitters, on their little Instagram comment sections, who are old-fashioned idiots who just go into the little girls' DMs, and you're sitting there calling Nyla Rose, oh, she's transgender. Oh my god, that's super sad. She shouldn't be the women's champion.
Who
Shut
gives a shit?
the fuck up. You are nasty, and I don't like you. Who cares? Go talk to your little girls and don't come in here. Okay? I'm sick of it. I don't think Nyla Rose should be the champion, but it's not because she's transgender. It's just because I'm not invested in her yet. But again, I haven't watched in a couple weeks fully, so hey, maybe she'll get over in my eyes soon, and hopefully
I
that's the
think
case.
I think she adds some grit to the women's division. Like, yeah, she's, big, strong woman that just tears people apart. It's not bad. I will say I'm not completely invested yet, but like you said, maybe that comes with time. I don't know.
One thing I'm noticing right now is I don't think there's a stipulation match at all on
Nope.
this card. That
No, we're gonna get
is
into that. There are a couple matches that should have
that's
stipulations.
a that feels a little that feels in my opinion I think that is a very upsetting. I think their stipulations are great, so it sucks not seeing one. I think maybe Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara could be a because that's our next match. I don't know the build. I'm pretty sure this one's recent. I'm pretty sure this got added this week or something. I saw it on Twitter.
It was. I
So
think it was. Yeah, it was this week. It was before Dynamite. I think it got announced
so
on
that
Instagram and stuff.
it seems like another match that's just kind of thrown there with no real build. Just I don't know if they're trying to get more
Well,
time
the
or
build is that
I don't know. You got to tell me.
Darby Allin. I think it was Sammy Guevara. Darby Allin. Like there was some neck injury when the Inner Circle beat up Darby Allin and then smashed his neck off the skateboard, and it was some big thing. So he was off TV for a little while, and then he came back. And I can't remember. I don't really have the best memory, but I think Sammy Guevara might have been the one that orchestrated that injury,
Hmm.
that maneuver that would have injured him. But I don't know. And there was a little teaser. Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara does a thing with the signs, during a commercial break, he'll stand in front of the
Yeah,
camera and
yeah,
do
yeah.
his thing. Darby Allin teased that. He
I
was like,
saw that. I saw that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Chris
two good wrestlers could be a good match. I
should be a stipulation.
should. Yeah, Darby Allin's a great stipulation wrestler. I can't believe AEW fans are excited for a match that happened on a main event in 2014. That's a joke I heard on Twitter, and it's Jake Hager making his All Elite Wrestling in ring debut versus Dustin Rhodes.
The natural
Well, the natural. I am
Dustin
sorry.
Rhodes. I wasn't correct
I
yet. I was just kind of throwing it in there.
no, I mean, I'm not excited for this match. I mean,
No.
I think Jake Hager and Luchasaurus would slap, but that's just me.
Jake Hager. Who do you think's going to win this? I think it's
Jake
got to be Jake
Hager.
Hager.
Well, Dustin
Got to be
Rhodes is
Jake
at that
Hager.
point in his career that he's putting people over rather than winning
He's there to
matches.
basically to put people over. He's done his time. He doesn't need to go over,
No,
really.
Jake Hager's going to go over here, obviously. And, I mean, this preview feels really short because there's not many matches, and none of these matches really have much of a build, it feels like, and I don't watch as much, and I don't know, it's just, a lot of these don't give me hype. There's only, I'd say, two matches on this card that I'm excited for, and that's upsetting to me.
You
And one
know,
of them, I don't even think I'm really excited for because of how I think the whole storyline's played out.
I'm going to go back here. Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. Who do you think's going to win that?
I haven't even gotten to the predictions part yet. I
Oh, never
was,
mind.
I
Okay.
was thinking we would go like that. We're just going to talk about them right now.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
Okay.
cool.
Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks. You don't need to tell how their names are.
This is a match
it-
I am generally excited for because the Young Bucks, great tag team. Kenny Omega and Adam Page, great singles wrestlers, but they kind of come together as a tag team. I think just the in-ring talent alone excites me for this match. And not to mention, it is a cool storyline that's going on. Adam Page is obviously branching off from the Elite. It's pretty cool.
That's true. I mean, we
He's a
could.
drunk.
Do you think we could see that happen? The Young Bucks could win.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
think it's definitely. Personally, I think it's going to come to a boil at Revolution, and it's finally going to.
I mean, we technically just gave our predictions, but we'll get back to that. Second match, is the match is going up the list here, but MJF with Wardlow versus Cody with the Enforcer, Arn Anderson. Okay, this match should have a build to it, or should have a stipulation. Excuse me.
Yes, great
This,
build.
it just,
I
I
will
mean,
say
you're gonna
there
sit
needs to
there.
be a stipulation.
Why wouldn't this would be, in my opinion, the perfect place to have a steel cage match. You could play it off that now, and MJF's got Wardlow to protect him. He's constantly avoiding Cody Rhodes, or Cody, because WWE, he's constantly avoiding him. He's constantly running away. Let's get into a steel cage so you can't run. But no, they decided to throw Wardlow, poor old Wardlow, who looked almost as slow as a rock, in a match with him in a steel cage. They get blood. Cody destroys his toe. I just feel like the steel cage would have been perfect for this match, and I feel like they ruined it, or some other stipulation, but they've ruined it. I mean, Revolution, in my opinion, is starting to shape up like just a WWE Payback pay-per-view in 2014. It's just, come on, put a
No
stipulation.
stipulation.
Like,
There's
I
gotta
know stipulations are getting kind of dry, maybe, to some people, but I think, if anything, this is the one match that deserves a stipulation. But they're just going to change it.
absolutely.
And no, we don't want a stipulation because I don't know.
There should be a stipulation 100% for this match, especially. Just the way that it's such a, emotional storyline. And the build to it, just such a big build up. There's got to be a stipulation of some sort. No disqualification, steel cage, anything.
Something to just kind of elevate it a little bit, but they didn't do that. They went straight just there. Maybe they didn't want to be known as like an ECW reboot in a way by having all these hardcore type matches involved, but I think a match, if anything needs it, this
Well,
should.
a feud this personal
I'd like to see
between
something happen. I will get into predictions. I was supposed to predict it. We'll get into that later in the next 2 seconds. Last match on the card, which definitely main event. I mean, there's no reason it wouldn't. Chris Jericho versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. I mean, jeez. Call me a hypocrite. I think that I love Chris Jericho as champion. And the reason I'm saying call me a hypocrite is because I'm ripping Goldberg, who is almost, or is actually older, just a little bit older than Chris Jericho.
yeah. But the thing is Jericho actually has pretty decent matches.
I don't even think in just matched quality. I think in just overall being there every week for the most part, and cutting promos or having a match, and Chris Jericho's here to elevate, and that's why they made him champion. They want.
In an up and coming company, Chris Jericho is probably to casual viewers the most well known, definitely the most well known name there.
Well, exactly. Kind of falls in the same boat, but I think Goldberg isn't going to be there to put over a new talent
No.
or a new gimmick. He's just going to be putting over someone who the fans haven't liked for 6 years at this point. Well, more like 5 years. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. But I think when I get into the predictions, but I think, I don't know, maybe I'd like to see stipulation on that as well. But I think that's going to play in. I'll get into my predictions when we get into the predictions. Starting, here's a prediction portion. Just let everyone who's listening or watching after the fact. Here are the stipulations. Or our predictions. Oh my god, I'm all over the place. SoCal Uncensored, Dark Order. Dark Order's going to win. That's my
Yep.
prediction.
They're building up. SoCal Uncensored's kind of having a fall from grace.
Well, that's unfortunate because I actually found them enjoyable.
A lot of people don't like the Dark Order. Like, a lot of people.
I don't myself personally. I think they've gotten better, but when they first debuted, I could care less. I wouldn't want them there. They could frig off, and it wouldn't bother me.
Well, when they first debuted, nobody knew, like, what was going on. Or, like, too much about them. Like, okay, there's some cult thing.
Well, that's the problem. You have this thing where it's like, okay, what is this? Am I watching
Exactly.
WWE? Like, what am I watching here? And that's why I think a lot of people don't like them. Is just because like when people watch AEW, they were trying to get away from WWE. They were trying to get away from these goofy gimmicks, and it seems right now when it comes down to it, you could only see the only goofy gimmick currently in WWE that's like main and what's happening every week would be the Fiend. Like I'm not talking goofy like goofy. I'm talking just like kind of like
Outlandish.
outlandish. The Dark Order, outlandish. Chris Statlander, outlandish, right? And I think that's what a lot of people kind of hate. They just don't want that outlandish stuff. They kind of want some more serious type wrestling.
Maybe that's why, the people that are die hard NXT are die hard NXT because I don't think there's too much. I don't think there's any outlandish stuff on NXT.
No, only thing I could even compare would be Bugenhagen, but he doesn't really wrestle anymore. He just kind of shows up. And he's not really that outlandish. I mean, it depends on how you define outlandish. If you define it as like a Dark Order or someone who's like dancing, if that's outlandish, but that's Bugenhagen. SoCal Answer's going to lose this match. Dark Order's going to win. Loop the IA. Cool beans for me.
Still waiting on the reveal of who the Exalted One is.
You're
The
speaking
Exalted One, some
absolutely
big.
gibberish to me because I don't watch it.
I don't pay much attention to Dark Order, but the Exalted One is like, I don't know if he's the leader or what, but his identity's hidden. Nobody knows who he is, and they're gonna reveal it soon. They're gonna reveal who it is.
Well,
I mean, some people are saying it's Raven. Some people are saying I saw somebody say it's Matt Hardy.
I think that would be the greatest ever.
Matt Hardy?
Yeah. He's definitely on his way out. I believe his contract expires in a couple weeks. You wait till Double or Nothing, and I think you're good to go. Because I think he's gonna have a
Matt
no
Hardy.
complete cause of about probably 60 days. So I don't know if he can show up or if, I'm not 100% familiar with that. Anyone who listens to this after the fact, leave it in the comments so we can figure that out. I'm not 100% sure on that. As far as I'm concerned, there's a no complete clause. It was about 60 days. So if say it ends in April, that might give him to Double or Nothing. I'm not sure when it ends, but we'll find that out. But that'd be really cool, in my opinion. I think that would be awesome to find out. Because he's posted some teasers with AEW. Obviously, he's not happy with WWE. WWE's more leaning. The funny thing is, when Matt Hardy showed up and the Hardy Boys showed up and they weren't getting used, people were like, hey, what in the hell are you doing? Right? What are you doing?
Exactly.
You're not using these people. And then WWE's kind of like, hey, well, we're trying to elevate new stars. That's our whole goal. And then they come out here tonight and throw the Fiend under the bus. So I don't
So
care
you're
about
not
that.
elevating new
I
stars.
want to
You're
see Edge as world champion. If you're going to do some old timer shit, I want to see Edge as world champion.
exactly, but no, we're probably not going to get that.
That's the only part timer I want to see. The next match on the card is Pac versus Orange Cassidy. I think I could look at this card and get every single match right. Pac is winning this match. Pac's winning this match. Orange Cassidy's a comedy goof wrestler. I guess you could say he's outlandish if you want to, and that kind of falls under the same category as Chris Statlander and Dark Order. He's not going to win this match. He's no need to win this match. He's going to lose this match to Pac. Everything is that's just how it is, and we're going to deal with
I
it.
mean, yeah, Orange Cassidy is not an AW to win. He's there to be goofy and get a reaction out of the fans, and he doesn't need to beat Pac to do that.
No,
Pac needs to beat him in order to stay strong over the loss to Kenny Omega.
so there's no need. I think I can look at this and get it right. Now the Rose, Chris Statlander. Or do you agree with that? Pac's going to win
Yes.
because who knows? You might throw a curveball at us.
Yeah, I
Nyla
mean, that's
Rose.
the thing.
Yeah, they could throw like I thought the Fiend was going to win tonight and he didn't. So
One thing is like you can look at
curveballs.
probably every wrestling card in the world and say, wow, that's really predictable. But then what makes a wrestling card, part of what makes a wrestling card good is having a curveball thrown at you and saying, oh, you thought this was going to happen? No, this is going to happen. I mean, that didn't work out in our favor today with the whole Goldberg thing. But if it's executed properly, it's a good way to get some good publicity for your product.
That's true. Now the Rose, Chris Statlander. My prediction for this match, and it's gonna be right. Actually, I'm taking that back. I'm just kind of thinking about it. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out. I was gonna say go for the complete 100% win, but I'm gonna throw a curveball and say Chris Statlander wins.
That'd be different. That would be a curveball for sure.
Because I was looking at it
And
and I was like, Nyla Rose 100%, but I don't know.
you know, just to add, a little bit of a tiny bit of competition in there. I think I'm going to go with Nyla Rose. I'm going to stay true to the predictability of the card for this one. I think I'm going to go with Nyla Rose. It would be cool to see Chris Statlander win, even though I'm not a fan of the outlandish stuff. But like you said, it would be a curveball.
It would. I'm going to go curveball because I'm a curveball guy. Oh, this is actually a really difficult one. Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara.
Here's something about the inner circle that I don't really understand is that they're made out to be such this powerful group that's like, yeah, nobody gets reign over us, but Sammy Guevara loses a lot.
Yeah, I think he's the
He
kind of the
is a great
scapegoat
wrestler.
in the terms
Great
of
wrestler.
what they want to do. Just feels
But
sort of pointless.
he's always losing. I think they're going to kick him out sooner or later. He's going to be the scapegoat of that. They're going to say, you're not performing good enough, and boot him out, and he goes off and does his own thing, which is what he needs.
Yeah, he does indeed
You
need
know,
that.
I'm not hating on the inner circle. I think the inner circle is kind of cool. But Sammy Guevara, I think he has the potential to be a really good single star. And if you watch his vlog, he's a nice guy. Like you see him interacting with fans and stuff. He's a nice guy. He has the potential, I think, to be a pretty good babyface.
Yeah, I honestly thought I could care less about him when Dynamite debuted. I feel like I got my water. Apologize. But I think he's kind of growing on me. But he needs to
Yeah,
start winning a couple matches against not high profile names, but some bigger guys. And I think Darby Allin's a perfect start. So I'm going Sammy Guevara.
I'm also going Sammy Guevara.
This is the most predictable match on the card, beside Dark Order and Pac. Ugh. Jake Hager, Dustin Rhodes. Jake Hager's gonna win.
Absolutely. There's no way Dustin goes over
I'm not
him.
throwing a curveball. My curveball's in the dirt if I say Dustin Rhodes. That's not happening.
Yeah,
He
we're
can.
going we're going fastball right down the pipe here and
Yeah,
saying Jake Hager. It's the for sure thing.
it's actually gonna happen. I wish they had some. I don't know if they still do betting on wrestling, but I'm gonna call up Vegas and I bet you I'd win a couple bucks. Kenny Omega and Adam Page, Hangman versus the Young Bucks. Young Bucks are winning, my prediction, because I think this is it. Kenny Omega and Adam Page
Yep.
are breaking up. Big fight at Double or Nothing. Whoo, can't wait. That's
Potential
what's
to
going to
be a good
happen.
match.
I mean, they could go long term and go, hey, let's do it at All Out, or let's do all this stuff later, but I think that's how it's going to
I think
be.
the Young Bucks are winning.
Yeah, they deserve it too. Like I said, AEW has the best tag division in the whole entire wrestlings, and the Young Bucks are definitely the stars of that, and they're not,
Young
you know,
Bucks should set up for a nice feud with the Lucha Bros. Because I know they've wrestled each other, this that, but there's never actually like legitimate long running feud. There could be some great matches there.
I agree, and that's what I'm saying. Like the Young Bucks, I think like we did when AEW was debuted, and all these people, were friends. And now we have wrestling company, executive vice presidents, and people are like, oh, well, I believe they said like they're not gonna be like, putting themselves over. But I think like at this point, you just gotta do it. I mean, no one's really gonna care. You're a great tag team. You're one of the money draws. Let's
Exactly.
put the titles on you. Plus, like I said, I don't like Hangman and Kenny having the title since they're not a homegrown tag team. And like I said, with the best tag division, to me, that just
And
sucks.
you're kind of butchering it by, taking two great singles wrestlers. Not to mention your singles division is taking a hit.
Well, yeah, it definitely is. And now apparently Cody can't even challenge for the AEW Championship anymore. I don't know if that's like a year or for the rest of his career. So
That's
there's
going to
another guy
reverse.
who's taken right out of the title picture. So, I mean, and that's why we're moving on. Great segue by me, MJF, Cody. I was gonna say, see, this is why I'm gonna do
I
my
was
next
going to say
prediction.
MJF, but I want to see Cody win. I think everybody wants to see Cody win.
Well, people call MJF the old school heel, and old school heels, they won, but there were some heels that won, but there were a lot of old school heels were really petty heels that ran away a lot, and they would always get sort of, they'd lose matches, and they'd lose them, and I don't know, I think maybe some outside interference, but that's going to tie into my next prediction, so I wouldn't say that there'd be two, we'll get to that. I'm going to go right off the top of my head, Cody Rhodes. Or
Ah,
Cody. Cody! Just
I'm gonna go
words.
Cody Rhodes as well because I think, yeah, like you said, old school heel don't really win much. Cody definitely deserves to win
Oh yeah, he needs a
in
rebound.
kayfabe, of course. Yeah, he needs a rebound. I think a loss to MJF would hurt him.
I agree. Here we go. Main event of the evening. From Winnipeg, Chris Jericho. From Cincinnati, John Moxley. Dean Am-
Yeah, and Moxley.
Dean Ambrose. And for the AEW I almost said World Tag Team Championship.
World Tag Team.
World Championship. Here's my prediction. Okay, here's when I first, this is why the MGF thing comes in. I think Jericho's going to retain from outside interference from the inner circle.
That'd be. Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that happening. But I'm gonna go off the ball. I'm gonna say Moxley wins it.
And you might be wondering, why am I saying this? Well, you look at it, Santana Ortiz not on the card. They're not gonna. You can't play off all they're winded. I think you're just gonna see them. Someone's gonna come out. No, I don't want to say interference like a disqualification. I'm saying more of like ref bump, maybe poking Moxie's eye. I don't recall, and like I don't watch much of. I haven't watched much of Dynamite, but you got to tell me what's the deal with Moxie's eye? Can someone explain that to me? Because I am lost.
Jericho poked it out with a spike off of a jacket.
Is it real or
No, it's
was
kayfabe.
it KV? Okay,
I don't think he poked it out. I think he just he didn't poke it out. He just damaged it really bad.
okay, because let's say
So he got to wear an
Vader
eye
would
patch.
be disappointed. Okay, because I saw that. I believe it was a Bash the Beach. No, I believe it was at. When did he do it?
Might have been at Bash the Beach.
Okay, because I remember the cruise and he had the eye patch. What the hell's that?
It better just be severely damaged. If they're playing it off like he poked his eye out, that is some outlandish shit.
And that's when we go back to the thing, right? Like old NWA wrestling was all just wrestling, and then the WWF came in and they decided, that we're gonna have more entertainment because Vince McMahon's always wanted more entertainment over wrestling, and that's when all outlandish things happened. Like when everyone had a gimmick that was based on a job. So, I'm hoping that's not the case, but I think you're gonna see some outside interference, maybe an eye poke from someone in the inner circle, something just maybe the other eye could be something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of, and then Jericho wins the match, and then it's kind of like John Moxley gets screwed over, whatever. Then maybe there'll be a stipulation or something at Double or Nothing, and I think then Moxley can win the title. That's just my prediction. It's not a guaranteed. I'm not a writer, but yeah, that's my prediction.
I mean, I can definitely see that happening. When does Fozzy go on tour? Would you happen to know? Because I know it's coming up. Jericho's obviously going to be
I wouldn't
out
know
of the
that,
picture sooner or later.
but I can search it up.
Because anyway, while you're doing that, I'm going to say right now, I'm going with John Moxley here, just to go a little bit different. Moxley is AEW's golden boy. One of the most over people, if not the most over person in the company. And I think they need to capitalize on it and put the strap on him at Revolution. Like I said, you know, I'm going to go for that just to go for a little bit of a wild card, bit of a curveball. I do think Jericho is going to retain in just a slight bit of predictability. But I don't know. I'm going for the curveball, and that would be Moxley winning the title.
Just trying to do a little bit of some reconnaissance, if you will. Okay, no. So they go on tour what this sounds is it looks like they start in April on the 16th.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm kind of looking because the days that they're on tour is kind of weird. Let me look here because I'm looking at AEW's events. Mm,
I mean, I'm
Georgia.
not really familiar with wrestlers going on tour with their band, but would Jericho still work
Well,
while he's on tour?
This is what I was trying to figure out looking at the dates because there's three events that seem to take place on a. Most of these events is from April to July, but there's a huge gap between May and July. There's May 9th and then July 16th. There's a gap where there's no show. In all of these, for the most part, there's only three shows that take place like close to Dynamite, and that's Thursdays. Most of them is like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I
So I
and
just
then
wasn't sure. So it's safe to say Jericho will be wrestling at Double or Nothing.
I think so. That big gap there, they might have worked around that. And I looked at the AW events coming up to see how close the cities were to where they're at, where they're touring. They're pretty far away. For example, one of them is in. Man, this is actually really, really interesting for some reason. Yeah, no, none of them are close.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, it's probably going to be Jericho and Moxley, the rematch at Double or Nothing with some sort of stipulation, and that's when Moxley wins. But like I said, I'm going to make it a little bit interesting. I'm going to go for the wild card, and that's Moxley winning at Revolution.
yeah, I think that makes sense. That works. I mean, Revolution this Saturday.
I'll tell you one thing, though. I don't think that's going to be the main event. I think Cody and MJF is going to be the main event. Because they did that last pay-per-view, too. What was it? I can't remember the name.
It's Moxley and Omega.
Moxley and Omega was the main event, and that was the title match was before that.
I don't know. I feel personally, with no stipulation, I think Jericho and Mox is gonna go on last.
Oh yeah, no, never mind, because that was the unsanctioned
Yeah, that's because of the whole
match with.
thing.
Yeah, personally, while we're on the topic of the unsanctioned match, I don't know if I agree with it. Just let them have a no holds barred match, no disqualification match or something. I guess unsanctioned. I don't know. Is that their thing? Do other wrestling promotions do unsanctioned?
I believe NXT's done it. They did it before. They did it in it was Gargano and Champa like 2 or something. I think it was in Chicago. I believe. I could be wrong on that.
Now that's okay for the WWE to do because their records don't matter. If you're keeping track of records, like in AEW, and you're gonna take a big match and that's not gonna count in your record because it's unsanctioned. I don't agree with that. But like I said, I'm not gonna get too much into that. That can be a whole nother episode. I know there's been a lot of those. A whole nother episode is AEW's like records and trying to make it look like a real sport, like what they did with the weigh-in and everything. But yeah, you can talk for hours just about that.
That is true. So that
So I
was
think that's something.
that was our predictions and preview of of the lovely Revolution Star again this Saturday, February 29th in the Winchester Arena, Chicago, Illinois. Uh, this was Justice Cast Wrestling. You might be again. I wanted to close the show. I wanted to talk about this whole thing we're doing. You might look at the title. You might see Justice Cast Everything. You're wondering why is it called Justice Cast Wrestling? And like if you look at the title says Justice Cast Wrestling. Our name is Justice Cast Everything. You look at the top of your screen. It says JCE, and you're probably wondering. You're streaming on WWE 2K. What are you doing? We're starting small. We're starting with this little thing. We're just having a little bit of fun talking wrestling. We're not worried too much about production. We're not worried too much
Right.
about anything like that. The everything is we want to talk about everything what the title would suggest or the name would suggest. Every single thing. It's in the if you look at the description, it says we can actually no, not the description, our channel description and our Twitter, which I will have to link. in the actual description of this video once it's re-uploaded. Go follow us on there for updates. We'll post updates all the time, and we just want to talk about everything. And if you want suggestions, anyone has suggestions, anything you want to talk about, you can leave them below. We're starting off wrestling, right? For
We know
example,
there's going to be episodes of like everything where we talk about politics, conspiracies, world issues, that kind of thing.
we want to talk about maybe the coronavirus that's starting to pick up a lot of steam and probably worrying a lot of people. I had Chinese food today, and every time we eat Chinese food, I'm getting worried that I'm going to contract it. The thing is, this is everything, and we want to just have fun, talk about wrestling. Like this is episode 1 of Justice Cast Wrestling. Justice everything be separate. So this wrestling, for example, our review will be episode 2, but our first episode of just Justice Cast Everything will be 1. Again, follow us on Twitter if you have suggestions. Tweet us, comment, do that. We can look into them, talk about it. And this is just here for fun. So if you want to come and join this hopefully long journey of having a good time and talking about some wrestling like we did tonight, or talking about whatever like we want to
Don't
do.
get turned away by a few hiccups because it's our first time, doing a podcast. There's bound to be some things that need a little bit of work.
They
But
do need work, a lot of it, and we'll get there. And like again, you can see that there's a lot of things we're gonna have to fix and we're gonna do. And honestly, I hope we can have fun with this. I think this was a pretty good first episode. Before we
it
end
was,
off, I know there's gonna be some people. I probably should have put this at the beginning. There's gonna be some people that be like, "Who in the hell are these idiots? What are they talking about wrestling? Why would I take their opinion over anything?" Just give you a little bit of background. We're not wrestlers. We're not promoters. We're just a couple of guys that really enjoy wrestling. And Craig over here hasn't enjoyed much wrestling over the past couple years before AEW came back. He's the one who got
yeah.
me into wrestling. He's the real reason, to be honest, that we're in this situation talking about Revolution or Super Showdown, because I wasn't a fan of wrestling.
I mean, that's not saying that like yes, okay, yes, AEW brought me back into wrestling, for good probably because it was something new, and I really instantly fell in love with the product, and I enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, there's been some little dips and turns, that things that aren't too good. But, and that's not saying that I don't watch Monday Night Raw and I don't watch WWE stuff because I do now. I just, a couple years back, I lost interest and hasn't really picked up. But, around the time AEW was starting, I started watching wrestling as a whole again.
I got into wrestling in late 2008. I was only 8 years old, so don't give me too much of a heartache there. I was one of those, typical kids that likes wrestling, John Cena, whoop-de-doo. Over the years, I took a
Holy
break.
shit, Triple H is at Randy Orton's house.
For a second,
That kind of
I thought
thing.
you were being serious. I was like, wait, what?
No,
Yeah,
that's like a typical
but
kid
that
wrestling
was
moment.
actually one of those memories I'll never forget, is watching that with my dad. Just remembering how cool that was. My first WrestleMania was 25. I'm not a huge wrestling fan like when it comes to long term, but I love wrestling, and I took a break for a couple of years, got back to it in 2017, just because I had the network. Royal Rumble was on. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna watch it. We're here now in 2020. Jesus Christ, and yeah, I'm just enjoying wrestling. I've just been enjoying a lot of it. Like I said, I haven't watched much Revolution AEW lately. But hopefully this podcast keep interest in my love for wrestling. And we used to wrestle on my deck as kids, and I think we have good knowledge of the business that as fans, like, this isn't a journalism. We're not journalists. We're not journalists. Jeez, my brain. We're not writers for any wrestling papers. We're not promoters or wrestlers, but we're just fans. And having an opinion from a fan could matter to a lot of people. And that's the thing. Is the whole point is just a
Exactly. I mean,
fan's opinion on wrestling.
exactly, and that can kind of provide some insight to people that don't pay much attention. Like, wow, the fans are really not happy with what's going on, or
Yeah,
wow, the fans actually like this.
exactly. This is a way for the fans. We're the fans, and we have a podcast where we talk about everything, and we're talking about some wrestling.
Yep.
So that is going to wrap up. We've been live for 74 minutes at this point. Time
Holy shit.
flies
That's not
when
bad for a
you
first
when you
episode there.
stream. Like again, I'm going to be linking our Twitter in the description of this re-upload. Go and follow us there. That's where we post every update. We're going to do Instagram up soon. We're going to get a profile picture as well because there's nothing there right now. And anyway, everyone can just enjoy the yeah, just
Enjoy the
enjoy the
enjoy
podcast.
the show.
So we've been the Justice Clan, and we will see you in the next episode.